3, 2, 1, live. How's the music sound, anybody? We've never done a live stream with music before like this, so this is an experiment. Probably get demonetized for this because I'm playing this new song by The Cure called All I Ever Am off their brand new album. And yes, I am playing this on the new Ubiquiti Power Amp, which I'll talk about shortly. Let's give it another couple minutes for people to come on, and we'll get to it. See what else is on this album. My first time listening to it. This is the first song called Alone. The sound on the Power Amp is great. Shout out to Ron for the idea for playing The Cure and letting me know about the new album. Had a Champions call this morning. He was playing it, so figured it was a good thing to listen to on my live. So, all right, one more minute. Alrighty here. Let's get this started. For anybody who couldn't hear me because you came late or because I was playing music in the background and you couldn't actually hear anything, which is my first time doing, so I don't know. That was The Cure, a song called Alone. Before that, I was playing All I Ever Am, which is a great song. Both of those off their new album, Songs of a Lost World. Figure let's see what I can do as far as music is concerned at the beginning of the show, kind of set the tone, get a little rocking going. As you can see, I've got some Ubiquiti toys here to show off, and that's the new Ubiquiti Power Amp behind me over there, and that's where the music was coming from, hooked up to my Onkyo speakers here. Obviously not positioned optimally for listening. They should be firing towards me instead of behind me around the room, but, you know, for demo purposes, certainly sounds good. And a little hard to tell you or show you exactly how good it sounds via, YouTube or a live stream. So I'm going to be doing a video on this, and you'll have to take my word for it, but they sound good. So big fan so far. One sec here. All right, let's get this started. Welcome back to Tech for Work, where I discuss things I found interesting in the tech and business world this week. My name is Jesse Nolan. I'm your host and the founder of Tab Geeks. It is election day here in America. Go vote. I don't care who you vote for, but, civic duty and all that, go vote. One of my favorite YouTubers, Cleo Abram, did an amazing video on why don't we have digital voting yet. It was very interesting, and it breaks down the cybersecurity issues and some of the reasons behind how complicated it is, and American laws versus other countries around the world that have done it. For example, Estonia has digital IDs for everybody. Everybody has a digital passport, etc., and unique identification number, and they're able to use that to vote digitally. America actually does have the ability in certain states to vote digitally and remotely over the internet for very specific use cases, such as uh, military members overseas, or where Texas originally developed it way back in the day for astronauts, American astronauts serving on the International Space Station to be able to vote, which they are doing today as well, to be able to cast their vote via the internet. But again, it is only for a select bunch because it is so complicated and there's a lot of rules and regulations surrounding all of it. And of course, nobody can agree on how to update the system or how to make it any better, or so on and so forth. So, yes, it's challenging. Yes, it's very cool. If you're interested in that, I definitely recommend going and check that out. I'll leave the link in the show notes here. It's called Why Can't I Vote Online by Cleo Abram. And if you're not familiar with her, she was a journalist over at Vox, I think, or Vice, one or the other, and left her job there and started a YouTube channel called Huge If True. And it's an optimistic look at the future of tech, and some things are current of what's happening now, and some things are future looking at what's under development at different companies and stuff. So she has a whole bunch of amazing videos. I think she has 2 or 3 million subscribers now, and just really, really high quality, excellent production, well researched, well written, etc. So definitely go and check her out. Is an amazing, amazing resource and fellow YouTuber. So one day, hopefully, I'll get to a fraction of her production capabilities and production value, and hopefully be able to start making some more amazing videos like that as the journey continues. Speaking of, my video has been popping off on the brand new Ubiquiti NAS Pro, which is this guy right here. This is a 7-drive, really simple network, NAS, so network attached storage solution from Ubiquiti. I have been putting it through its paces this past week or so, and because I got an early release model, and it's been very interesting. Yes, there was a bug that I posted. I didn't realize it was a bug at the time. I was getting a gigabit per second or a gigabyte per second. That's not that's not a thing. That's a bug. So that'll be fixed, or it has already been fixed in the release software here. That being said, I put it to the test and I copied 9 terabytes. Not 10 because I didn't have 10. I only had 9 and change. So I copied 9 terabytes of information over from 2. Who makes these? The G drives. They're SanDisk's professional desktop G drives, connected to my CalDigit TS4 dock via Thunderbolt. So fast connection there. And then the dock is connected via Thunderbolt into my M3 Max MacBook Pro, and with 32 gig of RAM, if that's relevant to anybody. And essentially what I did is I didn't move because that's all my data that I have here saved from all of my videos, so I didn't really want to do a move on that and take a risk. I suppose I could copy it all over onto the drives and then do a move for another test, so I guess I'll have to kick that off later today or this week. But essentially, I moved, or copied rather, from the drives via Thunderbolt through the TS4, the CalDigit TS4, onto my computer, copied, and then over the network, which is the TS4 has a 2.5 gig NIC, network interface controller, I think, the network Ethernet connection there, to the network, and this is the whole network stack that I'm running that on. I connected directly, wired in, obviously, and the UNAS Pro is connected into the switch by a 10 gig DAC, direct access controller connect, something like that, fiber cable from Ubiquiti. And this switch is the same switch that my computer is plugged into. And this is a USW Pro Max for those keeping score at home. So it's all taking place on the same control plane or float plane, whatever the term for that is. And it's all taking place on the same switch, and then going from the switch down to the UNAS Pro over a 10 gig connection. So there's no real bottleneck there. The bottleneck could or would be the copying speed of my computer, and I was using it while I was doing other things. But again, it's an M3 Max, and I'm using probably 30% of my capacity right now. Even just now recording CPU, yeah, it's humming along nicely. It's not maxed out by any shape of the imagination, and excuse me, and it took 24 hours straight of nonstop copying. And there were times where it was, and I broke this down in a thread on X, where initially it said it was going to take 2 days for one of the copies, because I had 2 different drives I was copying from. One was 2 terabytes and the other one was 7 terabytes of stuff. And initially it said it would take 15 days and 2 days, which I'm really glad it didn't. And then it updated, and Apple is pretty good at calculating how long things are going to take. but this jumped around a bit. So then both went down to 3 days, and then the 2 terabyte move, or copy rather, went to 6 days, and then the 7 terabytes went to about a day. And so it jumped around a bit, and then finally settled on, a day. And then the 2 terabytes were about 5 hours, and the 7 terabytes were 14 hours. And sure enough, I let it run overnight, and I had a camera watching it, trying to get some B-roll of just the endless copying there, time lapse it a little bit. And the 2 terabyte one obviously finished first, and then that allowed the 7 terabyte to ramp up and take over basically. And it took 24 hours, and it moved, or it copied and then moved 9 terabytes of files from my computer. And so I have a screenshot in there of what that looked like, and I can actually screen share this for those of you who are not on the audio side of things. Let me just pull this up, and then I think it should still show in the dashboard. It has a nice little graph. Nope, it's gone. All right, I'm not going to show you that because it's gone. But go look on my Twitter thread here that I'll link in the show notes, and you'll be able to see the screenshot of the activity of all of the traffic that went to the drive or to the NAS and back again over that 24-hour period, and what that looked like. It had some really, really good throughput. Looked like it was hovering at just under 500 pretty much for a lot of the spikes, and then hovering around 300 for the I'd say the majority of the time. There were times where it went down to 10 meg and then spiked back up again, and that's just the nature of the files that you're copying over. And your mileage may vary, but that was my real world experience there. And it's interesting. There's been a lot of pushback from folks, as there often is when Ubiquiti puts out a new product. It's kind of funny. There's always two camps. There's folks like me and enthusiasts and people who just love this tech and love that they're putting this out. And sure, there are some limitations, but obviously nothing is going to be perfect, especially at launch. And so there's that camp that's always excited. Hey, a new product from Ubiquiti, and oh, it does this, that, and it's great. And then there's the other side, which is like, there's no way this is enterprise. It'll never be enterprise. Ubiquiti, it's terrible. Blah blah blah. I'm like, why are you in this group if you hate Ubiquiti? So that's the two camps on the internet. That's just classic. And it's been interesting because honestly, Ubiquiti has been putting out a ton of great gear in the last couple of years. And if you're a business with a need to have storage on site, and you have some aging file servers like some of my clients that are looking for a better way to manage that, and they're not able to go to cloud storage for whatever reason, they need to keep some stuff local. Different people have different reasons. This is a phenomenal option. It's simple, it's straightforward, it's easy, and it's $500 before the drives. So granted, you have to spend, another $1,000 in drives, depending on how much you have to store. But I did 700 in drives. There's 4 drive slots full. Each of those has an 8 terabyte Seagate. What are they called? The Iron. Shoot, I can look it up. The Iron something drives. Hold on 1 second here. Pull up my order history. They are load. Okay, Seagate Iron Wolf 8 terabyte NAS internal hard drives. They are 6 gigabits a second, 7200 RPM with a 256 meg cache designed for RAID network attached storage. So I'll leave a link to those in the show notes as well, and that's what I used for that. And just the last thing I'll say on this is, if you do purchase it, I'd appreciate it if you used my link. Yes, it is affiliate. Yes, it's the curse, or not the curse. What am I trying to say? It's a blessing and a curse, right? Is I'd be a part of this program and I get access to this stuff, and I do an affiliate link, and I do ask that you do go and purchase it, and then the more people who purchase it from there, the less advertising I have to do on the channel, and I get a little cut of each of the sales of the NAS and some of the other Ubiquiti gear. So if you're ever purchasing Ubiquiti, use my link, please. Help support the channel. Definitely greatly appreciate it. Moving on to the next thing, or the last other thing that I have to talk about, which I already mentioned a bit before, is the power amp, and that's this white box over here. It does come in black. I got the white one. That's what they shipped me. And yes, it's an early product. It's early on the product, and it's clear that it's designed to be simple. And no, it doesn't do everything. And yes, I have several feature requests. But that being said, it's awesome. You saw how easily I was playing with it before. That's over the network. I have Spotify on my computer here, and I was playing music on that device from Spotify on my computer here via the network, and it worked, wonderfully. It's really simple and straightforward setup. You don't have to only use Spotify. You can use a line in if you want directly. You can use HDMI eARC. There's a lot of different options, and it's a network speaker. So essentially, you could, even your computer sound, I suppose, probably could go over that, and it works over Wi-Fi or Ethernet. I actually have mine not broadcasting. I have mine working over Wi-Fi right now, so definitely can be done. And you can adjust everything like the glow of the screen and whether the screen is on or off. And a lot of people are just going to throw it in a rack anyway because that's where their pro audio gear is. But for a lot of folks that have just a couple of speakers set up, under their TV or wherever their media center is, you just have it sitting there on a shelf. And as you can see here, if you're on the video streams, it's a beautiful device, and big fan of that. So I've got a review on that hopefully coming out this week. I'm going to try and get it finished. And I have a lot of recording to do. I have a whole bunch of Google stuff and Chrome stuff and a whole lot of videos coming here. So stay tuned, buckle up. It's going to be a fun week. And not just because it's election day, but because I've got a lot of good stuff coming. So that's it over on the Ubiquiti side of things. And in last week's show, or was it last week? Jeez, time is weird. I alluded to a trip out to New York City that I was going to for an event, and that was Google's Chrome Summit, their Enterprise Chrome Summit. And I flew out to New York City for 24 hours, not even, just under 24 hours, and flew in for a media day so that I could get a preview of the event. And then the next morning was able to attend a little bit of the keynote and some of the event and get some footage there. So I'm going to have a video recapping what was said there, but essentially there's a whole bunch of new stuff coming to Chrome OS and specifically for Enterprise. Obviously, there's a lot of Gemini things in there. There's a whole new keyboard key, essentially where you would see the normal caps lock key is something that's going to be called Quick Insert. It's a little diamond, and it's designed for really making things that you reach for frequently in your workflow easily accessible. So, for example, adding emojis or GIFs or links that you frequently use. When you're in documents, you just hit the quick insert key and it'll give you the options to just drop those in right there. Or, of course, you can talk to Gemini. And so Gemini obviously is being a core of pretty much everything, or AI is being a core of pretty much everything these days. And so it is coming to Chrome OS. I believe it actually is rolling out now. If you don't have it already, hit that update button on your Chrome device. And you're going to be able to hit the quick insert button and ask questions or give commands or prompts to Gemini directly from that quick insert bar. And it's similar to the search bar or some of the other options from other companies and whatnot. So I think it's a really good integration there. And I have a couple of Chromebooks here, which I'm going to be doing unboxing videos and talking about what they're for and who would work best with which models. I think that's really important. There are a number of different options. It's not a huge number. There's not 100 different models like there are for PCs, or 50, 45 different models as there are for Macs, all of them coming from Apple. But it's really, you want to get the right device for the right scenario and the right person and the right capabilities, and the price is obviously going to depend on how much hardware is going into that and what that costs and things like that. So I'll be doing a whole series on that coming up soon. Some of the other things that they're adding to Chrome OS is focus mode, which is pretty straightforward. It adds a focus mode, so it turns on Do Not Disturb for notifications and the like, and so you can focus on what you're doing. This is another interesting AI-based or Gemini-based concept called Welcome Recap. Essentially, after you shut down for the night or put it to sleep, and you come back in the morning, you're like, oh, what the hell was I working on yesterday? It will give you the answer. It will tell you with some screenshots and pictures or whatever text generated by Gemini. Say that 5 times fast to remind you of, hey, you were working on this in this project, and here's what it looked like, and these are the apps that you had open, which I think is just neat. So cool on that, Google. And then there's an all-new recorder app, which I'll be showing off also in my videos, but Chrome has needed a screen recorder and an on-device recorder for quite some time now, so I definitely welcome this and appreciate this. So good job, Google. Looking forward to fully testing that out. On the Google side, but moving over to Workspace Updates, there are 2 that I want to highlight. One is for Google Chat fans, chat.google.com. There is a new density setting in the chat window, and essentially similar to what you have in Gmail, you're going to be able to change the density of the chat window. You'll have comfortable mode with the default setting, and compact mode, which is for folks who want to see more information on the screen with less scrolling. So it says here you'll see message bubbles are aligned in the same direction for both the sender and recipient, and wider message bubbles and padding in the left bar, conversation list, and home. So here's side by side what that looks like. And so the comfortable one is the normal view that you have seen up until now, and the compact one is designed probably for having a smaller screen, but also a lot more stuff on the screen, and just brings everything much tighter together. So keep an eye out for that. That is going to be rolling out potentially longer than 15 days, even for the extended, even for rapid release domains. And that's going to start on October 30th, or has started on October 30th, rather. I haven't seen it yet, so I usually get these things super fast, and it hasn't shown up for me yet. I probably will just keep the comfortable mode, the normal mode, because I have it on a 4K screen, and so screen density or resolution isn't really an issue for me. But I can imagine certainly having that on laptops with less high resolution screens, that could definitely be a lifesaver there. So super helpful on that. Let me just take a look here and see if there's any comments coming in. Nope, doesn't look like it. It's hard to track the comments, as I mentioned in the past, on X and LinkedIn because they're not great about it. But also, nobody's really commenting over on the YouTube side either. So if you have questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the chat, and I'd be happy to address them and answer any questions that I can, and hopefully make this valuable for you. All right. Back to my show notes. The other thing that is interesting for government workers is that Gemini is now authorized for FedRAMP High. For those who don't know, FedRAMP is a cybersecurity certification that you need to get from the government in order to be able to use your application with highly secure information, and FedRAMP High being, I believe, the highest version of that. And so this is essentially going to enable anybody who is using Google Workspace in government, and this doesn't just mean for the government, like your local city council or the United States government. It means for any contractors. Anybody who works with the government needs to be FedRAMP, I believe, needs to be FedRAMP certified, especially at a certain level. And this shows, as it says here, the federal agencies in the United States that a cloud service provides the highest level of protection for their most sensitive data, enabling them to confidently leverage cloud technologies for critical operations. One thing to note is that this does not include data location. They're targeting FedRAMP High with data location at a later date, and the package is pending review by the Joint Authorization Board, who does not provide guidance on review timelines. So they have a link here to refer to the FedRAMP compliance page for a copy of submission. So this is purely Gemini, purely if you're a government contractor or work for the government, and nonprofits included, it looks like. So take a look at that if you fall within those two camps. All right, Apple had a fun week last week. Yeah, I think it was last week. We talked about some of the things on last week's show because they broke right that morning as I was about to start recording or about to go live. So that was exciting. And I do have the new Mac Mini on order. It's coming in, I believe, on Friday. So I'll be doing a review on that just because I love the form factor. It's about time they shrank that down. It's a little bit bigger than the Apple TV. It's much smaller than the old Mac Mini. I love the Mac Mini form factor because it's just so versatile. Like, you can throw a bunch of them in a rack, you can tie them into a system, you can remote into them, you can, use them wherever you want to have a really powerful computing platform, but have a very small footprint. And it's rare that you have such a powerful option, but also such a small footprint. So well done, Apple, on that. Very excited to get my hands on it. And one thing to note also is that, just like I noted in my iPhone video, or my iPhone review video, or I was in the what IT departments need to know about the Apple iPhone releases, is that the generational shift has occurred, where all of the new phones were upgraded to, I believe it's 8 gig of RAM. Similarly, now all of the new Macs have been upgraded to 16 gig of RAM, which is about damn time. I have been saying for years that when you're buying a Mac, the only option, and this is true about Windows and preferably Chrome, although slightly you can get away with 8 gig, but I prefer 16. But it is not an option to get 8 gig for PC or Mac, in my opinion, especially if you're doing any kind of power computing or processing. And it's needed to be a base standard for many years, and now they have finally done it, which of course comes about because of Apple Intelligence, which you need a lot of RAM in order to run. So The also on that note, the new MacBook Pro has been finally updated with the M4 chips. So the M4, M4 Pro, M4 Max. I don't think we've seen the M4 Ultra yet. So I guess stay tuned for that. Not coming this week. Um, I'm a little bit tempted, but given that I spent over $3,000 on my current M3 Max with 32 gig of RAM and it is still cooking, and I edit multiple 4K video streams in Final Cut Pro, and I'm starting to learn DaVinci slowly but surely, and it basically hardly ever stutters, even with all of my Chrome windows open and 200 tabs or God knows what I've got going on here. So I think I'm good for another year, given that I spent so much money on that, and I'm not ready to pay up all that much money again, especially given that I just bought the iPhone 16 Pro Max as well as the Google Pixel 9 Pro Fold, aka the Fold 2, and I've been spending a lot on gear lately, and I think I'm gonna wait off another year on the MacBook Pro, but next year, Apple, let's see some big updates, and I will be there when the doors open, waiting for my new MacBook Pro, most likely. Okay, let's talk about XAI. This is interesting for what many people call server porn, data center porn. It's not every day that you get a behind the scenes tour of a data center and get to see how everything is run, how the magic is made. Everything is the cloud. It's, someone else's computer, right? It's in a data center somewhere. But those places generally tend to be so incredibly locked down and nobody is allowed in. And occasionally you'll get glimpses from a Google promotional video showing off a new data center, and you get, one row of racks and you get to see a little tiny bit here and there, but not really any explanation of what's going on or how things are made or things like that. So I want to draw your attention to an incredible video by STH, Serve the Home, where they took a look inside the insane XAI Colossus AI supercluster. This is now the largest AI cluster on Earth. It has over 100,000 NVIDIA H100 GPUs, although Zook just came out and said that they're also training on over 100,000 NVIDIA H100 GPUs. So a little bit of a GPU measuring contest going on between those two over there. And, Elon, of course, mentioned, and several of the XAI folks mentioned, that they're doubling the compute of Colossus. So it'll soon be, I guess, 200,000 NVIDIA H100s, but they're also doing the H200s, I believe it is. So the cool thing about this, though, is two cool things, is that you got to go really behind the scenes, and this is done in cooperation, obviously, with XAI, and you get to see the Supermicro servers that they put in. They're housing a lot of these chips, and how the water cooling works, and where the water cooling goes, and how they're powering everything, and just a super fascinating behind the scenes look. So I definitely recommend going and watching it. But the other cool thing about this is the fact that they built this Colossus, this massive system of computers, data center. In a normal timeline for this would take years to get it completed, to get it up and running and training on training an AI cluster. They did it in months, like 3 months or something to that effect. And even NVIDIA confirmed that it was done in that time frame, and everybody was like, holy crap, that is fast. Even folks that are engineers in the industry were saying, nah, not a thing. Nobody builds these that fast. And then it's online and it's working. And here's the video that shows it, as well as confirmation from NVIDIA and from XAI employees. So very impressive. Just another example of Elon, whether you like him or not, basically a bull in a china shop to get things done at an insanely fast rate. Amazing what you can accomplish when you just go for balls to the wall and get shit done. So if you're interested in AI or data centers or computers and technology in general, which if you're watching my show, I'm guessing you really are, I definitely recommend going and watching this. It's very cool behind the scenes. And then the last thing I had for you here, short show, actually. I thought this was going to be a little bit longer, but I guess not. Microsoft, who I don't talk about all that often, but for you Microsoft folks, Windows 10 end of support is less than a year away. It's that time. It feels like just yesterday that we were talking about end of support for Windows 7, and everyone's like, no, it's the greatest OS ever. And, that's how we felt about XP as well. And 10 replaced it, and 10 was really solid, and it took a lot for a lot of people to finally get on board with 10. But we did finally get on board with 10, and then they're like, hey, here's Windows 11. And everyone's grumble, grumble, grumble. But the shift from 10 to 11 really is not that bad. They move the taskbar and the start menu, and you can move it back, and it's not that bad. And yes, every update, they take away more things from our precious control panel and put them in settings. However, end of life is here, or will be here on October 14th, 2025. That's your drop dead date there. As they usually do, there are some options for extended support here. They have extended security updates, aka ESU. Microsoft loves their acronyms. There's options for organizations of all sizes, but now there's also an option for the first time, I believe, consumers can continue getting support for 1 year for $30. So guess they are just really expecting consumers to stay on Windows 10, and only charging them $30 is not an incentive for them to do otherwise. So a little bit extra money that's going to come in there for Microsoft for folks that don't want to get off Windows 10. Although personally, it's, again, like I said, not that big of a lift to go from 10 to 11, especially even, computers generally are able to handle it. It wasn't that big of a spec bump, if I remember correctly. This is coming from a blog post that Microsoft put out, which of course I will link to in the show notes. But it is all about preparing for the Windows 10 end of support, why you should upgrade, checking if you can upgrade, where to buy new Windows 11 PCs, and of course the new extended security updates, as I mentioned before. And then I guess because I just went to the event and I have a plug on this, if you've got an old PC that can't run the latest version of Windows, you can always put Chrome OS Flex on there. And this is a simple USB drive that you can install. You can plug into your computer from Chrome, and you can install Chrome OS Flex. It's mostly the same as buying a Chromebook, but what it does is it enables thousands of different PCs and Macs, actually, to run Chrome OS, and I'll be doing a video on this as well. And because Chrome OS is such a lightweight operating system, you are able to bring new life to a lot of older PCs or Macs, even if they're 10 years old or more. And Google has a whole list on their website of devices that Chrome OS Flex can be installed on, and it is extensive. And one of the things that I did on this trip is I went to the testing lab, one of two testing labs, I believe, where they test compatibility to make sure that they, every time they do an update, will continue working with the Chrome devices, and with the non-Chrome devices for Chrome OS Flex, and it's very cool. And I will show off some of that in a video coming shortly. And it's a great option for companies that aren't ready to invest in new equipment, new technology, or can't afford to at this point in time. You are able to install this. It's free, and you can manage it from the control panel, the admin panel rather, which is not free. You do need a license for that, but I think it's like $50 a year or something, and you can sometimes get it cheaper if you go through a distributor or buy a whole bunch. So just a great option as you're thinking about those older machines. And if you haven't heard about it, go check it out. It's Chrome OS Flex. And I don't know if there's a domain on here. Yeah, it's no, that's a study. Google, so goo.gle/try Chrome OS Flex, or just Google it, because this is how we do things. All right, so I think that's pretty much what's going on here. If you haven't already, go and check out some of the videos that I have been putting out. I am particularly proud of my UNAS Pro video. I think it's pretty awesome. It is long. It's about 23 minutes, and it has a full rundown of the new Drive software, which I think is actually the start of the show. Yes, you need the hardware in order to make it work and to run that app, the new Ubiquiti app called Drive, but that's the software that runs everything and makes the magic happen. So I break down and show walking through all the features and setup of that. I also did an update on Starlink waterproof Ethernet Starlink mini waterproof Ethernet cable, which I've gotten lots of questions about on my other or previous Starlink mini video, which has exploded and totally gone viral with 691,806 views and counting. So headed towards the million mark there. That is officially my largest video ever. So thanks to all of you who watched that. And then I also have a review on Anker's new charging gear that's out, and more coming. So stay tuned, and thanks all for watching. And I think next week is a normal schedule. So we'll see you next week. Where's the stop?